Hi there, and thanks for stopping by. Welcome to another episode of Dusty Shed Sessions 2026. I was a bit apprehensive when I uploaded the first episode. I was a bit worried that I was wasting John's time on my vanity project that no one would watch. So I'd like to say a really big thank you to everyone who has watched it and to the new subscribers to the channel. It certainly seems to have captured a modest amount of interest for a fairly niche content, and my hope is that we continue to grow as we deliver more of these episodes, and there is definitely talent out there that deserves to be heard. Episode 1 has had about 170 views to date. Now, if I had 170 people come to see me play in a pub, I'd be absolutely delighted. So whilst the numbers are modest in YouTube scale, they show that there is some interest in people doing something creative with their time and talent, and I generally think that people are interested in hearing original work. Thank you again to everyone who has watched, subscribed and liked. Sound recording and music production is my thing. And my key objective in doing this is to capture a really good sound to show off the artist's performance, especially when they take the time to come and play on these programmes. Now, visuals and cameras, I freely admit, are more of a challenge to me, as I am trying to produce these episodes with high production values like multi-camera angles, good editing, along with studio quality sound, and I only have one pair of hands. So hopefully you'll stick with this channel as I navigate and learn to make these programmes to the best of my ability. But please remember, the focus is to support and provide exposure to original work and the artists who produce it. Interestingly, last week, singer Kate Nash appeared before the Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee in Parliament, and made some similar points that I raised last time about record and tech companies who have had such a negative impact on the music industry. She also raised the issue that since Brexit, it's now almost financially unviable to play in Europe as a British national, unless, of course, you're big enough to fill stadiums, and well, if you are, then the likes of Spotify really don't affect you that much. She also mentioned how she had to resort to setting up an OnlyFans account and sell pictures of a bum to fund her last tour. Now there's an idea. I wonder how you set up an OnlyFans account. Welcome to Dusty Shed Sessions 2026. This is episode 2. And I'm already breaking my self-imposed rules. So joining me this time is a singer-songwriter from Frome. Frome is a lovely, vibrant market town in Somerset with a very active music and art scene. But it is right on the border of Wiltshire, so I'll take that. Anyway, rules are meant to be broken, and this is rock and roll after all. My guest has released 3 studio albums, Flight in 2016, Darkling in 2022, and her latest, The World, in 2025. It is my great pleasure to welcome Sue Harding.
Hello.
Hi, Sue.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
A little bit about your background and music, please.
Been doing it a long time. Started off really picking a guitar up as a teenager and then having it with me. Really got into playing music when I got older. I used to go to folk clubs and things when it was the thing, and I got dragged along to that kind of traditional music. I learned Celtic and traditional songs. Learned to play the guitar by people showing me. And it wasn't until quite a bit later that I started writing. So that's where it comes from. And I was writing not because, it was accessible. I always thought that the folk scene was accessible. It allowed people in, it allowed people to learn, and you'd sit there and listen and people would show you things.
And when did you start writing songs? And what drew you to songwriting? And how do you think you've evolved as a writer?
I think several things. Quite often I think of myself as a storyteller, a poet and a storyteller. And I taught English in schools, secondary schools, for a very long time. My education is a degree in English. So I've come from that background too. And as there's a melding together of that storytelling, language, an interest in language, together with the folk tradition, the American and the British and the Celtic traditions. And finally, I always had stories to tell, and I thought I can do this. And my first efforts were awful, like most people's are, but I think I got better at it. I improved, and I think it's now. I started learning music by doing covers and learning traditional songs, and nowadays I don't play anything except my own music, because for me that's where I've ended up. That's where I've landed.
Can you tell me about the first song that you're going to play?
Okay, The Keepers of the Stream. I'm going to play this one first because it's about history and family, and it does come out of that Americana tradition. It's from my first album, which was Flight, Americana feel to it. And it's all about my mum and dad and about falling out with family and having a bit of a spat. What happens often with my writing is that you start off with a very literal place, time, scenario, and it becomes something else, and it grows as you write it. So The Keepers of the Stream is the name of a book, and it was on the coffee table at my mum and dad's house, which was an old watermill. That's quite important. It's a watermill. And The Keepers of the Stream is how to fix the nuts and the bolts and the upkeep of a stream, a watermill. But for me, how resonant is that? The Keepers of the Stream of family and tradition and history. And then I melded that. For me, Keepers of the Stream is also an Americana song. I'm not a religious person, but it uses religious imagery and ideas, which is so much part of that tradition. And it became something very personal to me, and dealt with a very personal journey with my family, which required forgiveness on all sides, as families often do. So, Keepers of the Stream. The keepers of the stream live here, and no one is. How strange to stand here on these decks, midday on our own. The old mill rides a grassy waves, become beside your water. Your loving arms are everywhere. What happened to your daughter? The sun shines on the roses. The sun shines on the river. The sun shines on your vagabond child. Have you anything to give her? Now Daddy's fields are full of weeds, plants in green and yellow, and Mama's garden's overgrown, home to the skimming swallow. Mama's kept those records bright, but nothing lasts forever. Those dreaming faces fading fast, all in the summer weather. The sun shines on the roses. The sun shines on the river. The sun shines on your vagabond child. Have you anything to give her? Well, we tried your bread and drank your wine. We tried not to break your dishes. We soaked your walls with our own songs, and we brightened off more sun shines on the roses, the sun shines on the river, the sun shines on your vagabond child. Have you anything to give her? The sun shining on your vagabond child, the sun shines on the river, the sun shines on the roses and the songbird who sang with her.
So how do you go about starting to write a new song?
Oh, lots of different ways. At the moment, I'm lying fallow. I haven't done a lot of writing. The intention was to do a lot of writing, but I'm not at the moment. I'm waiting, not for inspiration as such, but just to sort of to fill in that space. I've got notebooks full of ideas. I've got little bits and pieces just waiting. I've got notebooks on my phone, little voice messages. And sooner or later, I will sit, right, it's time to get on with this. And I will sit down and I will craft those ideas. Where does the idea come from? Sometimes it's other musicians and other songs. I do know that if I take inspiration from someone else's music, you might think that, well, that's a bit like plagiarism. To be honest, that's not what happens in my experience. You take an idea and then you work on it and it comes out as completely your own. By the time you've finished messing about with it, it's a completely different thing. So, yeah. There are some songs on some of my albums. I know that I was listening to Passenger at one point, and there's a song about Abu Dhabi when I lived there, and it's called, what was it called? The Verses from the Gulf. And the bit that started off that was his was images of being underwater. That was it. That's how the inspiration for that worked. But the song doesn't sound anything like. You know, it's my take on it and my story. And other times it's like travelling. There's a lot of songs that are about going to places, and I always find it quite inspirational to be in another part of the world and looking at other creatives and artists. I've got quite a few songs that are about other musicians, and that the way that works.
So how much of your writing is autobiographical and how much of it is emotional fiction?
Good question. I think there's all my partners and boyfriends always assume I'm writing about them, and I'm not. You don't have to tell anybody that, by the way. I think there's always this assumption that it's autobiographical, and maybe a germ of an idea is. But it's also that fictionalised autobiography. Yeah, you take it somewhere else. I always think my songs are all about me. They're about me. They're about my interior world. So the songs that are about set in America, and the Americana songs on flight, I've never been. I've not been to America. It's all about an imagined place where you're free, and imagined place where that music came from that I'd listened to. Songs like, I've got one called La Lady of Shalott, and that's all about waiting for your lover to turn up and you're in a tower. It's about feeling confined and stuck. And I have a boyfriend who thinks it's him. Just because you kept me waiting doesn't mean it's about you. It's about me and impatience and creativity. So yeah, I think they're all autobiographical, but hugely fictionalised. And importantly for me, I think universalised. I think if you want to make music and songs that people listen to, you can't be self-indulgently A, telling them what to do, and B, what to think. You've got to leave them room to do their own thinking.
When you're in a writing mood, do you write a complete song start to finish, or do you find that you create a song framework that you have to mould and edit to get to a final product?
A bit of both, isn't it? There've been a very few of them that just come. There you go, song arrived. You think, oh, thank you. But not often. Most of the time, they're germs of an idea that sit in a notebook or sit around for a few months, maybe years, and you dig them out again, have a think about it. It's a different context and time. And the word framework is very interesting, isn't it? Because I find having a framework, like a genre to play to, or an idea that holds it, is important. So I have a different process, the idea of collecting ideas and thoughts and images, and then the wordsmithing and the music crafting, and I do them all separately, I think, usually. It's not an absolute.
Yeah, there's no hard and fast rules.
No, there aren't, but quite a lot of my songs are driven by a story or a language thing, are supported by music. And every now and then there'll be something the music comes first, but not very often. Yeah. And a framework helps a great deal, a structure. So using a genre like the Americana genre or a folk song genre and using the verse, chorus, verse, I sometimes throw the whole lot out the window and do something different, but it's helpful sometimes.
And what's the inspiration behind your next song?
Right, I'm going to play you a song called The Bloody Rose, which is nasty. I would have called it Americana Noir, and it's actually on my latest album On the World, but it was written with a friend in the room who was saying, make it nastier, bring on the murder and the incest. It's got to be nasty. And it's not really what I do, but this was written in tandem with someone else's ideas, very unusually. And I had a lot of fun with it. Very simple on the musical side of it. And I just built a story. I built a story about an imagined, almost Bonnie and Clyde imagined, and told that story with, with a recurring image in the chorus of the bloody rose, which is sort of very beautiful, but also she's dead. Not cheerful.
The sun was high, the air stood still in the last chance bar. Bored of it in a deep dark corner, sat a sister and brother, or a pretty girl weeping in the arms of a lover. Come down and pop beneath the cruel black star, ran for the border in the family car. A pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose. Now a pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose, like a rose, like a rose. Papa was rotten as a ship-filled snake. There was nothing in this world that he wouldn't just take. Spreading himself all around the town. Then he turned on his culture, so they took him down. Ooh, ooh. Two souls joined with a love so pure, but he might have been the brother, they could never be sure. Now a pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose. A pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose. Oh, a pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose. A pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose. Right up against it on destruction raw. Busted and broke, no place to go. Sister and brother plan one last run to knock up a liquor store without its gas. So she's waiting quiet with a cool beer head. When she came out 3 men lay dead. Pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose. Oh, a pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose, like a rose, like a rose. And the deputy sheriff shot her right in the eye, and a pretty lover brother left her there to die. The shit-scared boy shot his foot on the gas and shot up like a rocket for the freedom pass. Now a pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose. Pretty red blood stains the dust like a rose, like a rose. Pretty red rose makes it dance like a rose. Happened to the poor boy nobody knows.
So who are your main influences as songwriters?
I think my earliest influences were probably the people that made me want to write and think, oh God, that's amazing. I'm Dylan. And particular albums, I fell in love with Desire in it came out in 75, but I didn't hear it till later, and it was just I loved that. That was it. It spoke to me. I learned songs from it, and later thought that use of language, that forefronting of storytelling, I love it. That's it. I also listened as a teenager and as young to Leonard Cohen. These are the greats for, and again, the poetic use of language. And then again, Joni Mitchell. And more recently, of course, there are people I listen to now. Of course there are. I love listening to, Gillian Welch was a great influence at one point. Emmylou Harris I listened to a lot. And Passenger, I've already mentioned. I sort of thought, I love the way he tells a story with that very simple language, his authentic voice telling a story and talking to you.
So for you, where does inspiration usually come from?
Inspiration. I think often if I'm short of it, I might travel, change my environment. I might listen to somebody else's music and think, I need to listen to stuff. Right? And again, as I said earlier, it doesn't mean you're plagiarising somebody. You're just we all stand on the shoulders of giants, and we hear something, we think that makes me want to do it. If I could take that germ of an idea, I'll do something with it.
What was the story for your next song?
Now this one is always all about being inspired by someone else's work. And this is my friend Gabriel Moreno. And we had a conversation about how hard it is to earn a living out of original music. And even when you're brilliant, which he is. And the conversation went, it's bloody hard, isn't it? And we all lose heart. And so the song Capitano has got bits of Spanish feel to it, because that's where he's from. It mentions the writers that we both talk about, your Lorcas and your Baudelaires. There's that in there. And he talks about Leonard Cohen as being the general. So if he ever mentions, he often does covers of Cohen and he goes, the general. And so for him, I teased him and said, well, you can be the captain then. And that was a bit generous of me, really. But he's my friend. And there we are. So Capitano is him particularly, but as you said, we universalise. So it's anybody who's getting out there and making music, making art, making anything and living the precarious life creative. Keep going. Keep your lights afloat.
All of us dream. We all have our doubts. My brother in song really breathe hard. Maybe you're the captain, the pilot of the boat, where everyone the tide goes on. Oh, but isn't that our purpose? Shouldn't everybody know that there's treasure in the waterline, where the pirates and the children there to go? Sail on, my Capitano, sail on with your dream and your song, sail on for a song. And tonight you're tilting Don Quixote. Let's throw our empty glasses down. A bunch of drunken rabblers out on the town. And tomorrow when the petals fall, perhaps you will sing like the generals we're looking of Baudelaire. On triumph, triumph, and display. Sail on, my Capitano, sail on with your dream and your song, sail on, and the tide comes in and the tide goes out, sail on for a song. Oh, my brother in song, dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on, dream on.
So do you find it easy to get gigs as an artist who plays original music?
Not really.
Somehow I knew you'd say that.
It's always there's a hustle that you're required to hustle. And when I brought my last album out, I hustled a bit. I got a lot of gigs. It was fun. And I did them over a period of 2-3 months and finished up going to Glastonbury, all of that. And that was all very wonderful and exhausting. And because as an independent, you do all your own promo, you do everything. And it's a full-time job. And does it pay well? No. I have a circuit now of people who know me and like to listen to original music. I know who they are. I know who my audience is now. So my next little outing, I'm not bringing out another album just yet. It'll be maybe next year, the year after. So the next little circuit this spring and summer, I've got a few gigs, but with places where I just had to pick the phone up and go, can I have a gig? They go, yeah. Because that's what they do. If I wanted to play gigs in pubs and on Saturday nights, I think I'd be on to a hiding to nothing.
So having said that, do you have any gigs coming up?
Yeah, I'm in April. I've got a few. They're on my website. I'm definitely playing the Bell in Bath. I'm playing the Folk Club in Frome. I'm playing in Hastings. I think I've got a little festy down in London coming up. Places, Eldon House in Bristol, which I love. There's a couple more as well, but I put them all up, and as things come in, I'll stick them on the www.suehardingsongs.com.
How's your music?
Oh, everywhere. Well, like everybody, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Bandcamp, I've got an Instagram account, I've got a slightly dead TikTok account, which I really have got to put some effort into. I've got a Facebook page and a website.
So what's the next song about?
This one is called Edge of the Day, and it's gentle.
Today you feel like a falling star, guttering out in the dark. Everything's hard and you can't make a start. Well, you don't even know who you are. When the crimes of our times are blatant and brutal, and these days you can't even win. When there's nothing to be done by anyone, well, you might as well go back to sleep. Won't you tie your back on the crowd? Won't you send it out to sea? Won't you make your way to the edge of today and come sit down with me? When you can't stop smoking and scrolling and rolling, you got a mind like an angry troll. When the rain it keeps falling and no one comes calling, something bad wants to hit your soul. Won't you tie your back on the crowd? Won't you send it out to sea? Won't you make your way to the edge of today and come sit down with me? Won't you make your way to the edge of today and come sit down?
So the links for Sue can be found below, so please go and check them out, and at the very least, go and have a listen on Spotify. After all, who couldn't do with the miserly 0.003p per listen? So if you like this video, well, you know the drill by now. Like, follow and subscribe, and you'll be notified when we've got a new episode released. So thanks for popping by today, Sue. I really appreciated the time discussing songwriting and for the fantastic live performance. So what's the background to the last song?
The Birchwood is the last song on Darkling. And again, God knows where it came from. I think I wanted something that had some kind of transformative feel to it, and a little bit pagan and a little bit out there. So this one is a story of going into the woods at night, and instead of being scared, it's transformative and you love it. And it's very gentle, as I think is a trademark for me. On the original, on the album, it's got some wonderful cello on it, played by Beth Porter, who is, again...
Unfortunately, the cellist couldn't make it today.
No, it's just me. Me and a guitar.
Thank you for watching and supporting this channel, and in turn, the support that you are giving the artist featured. I will return in a couple of weeks' time with a new episode of Dusty Shed Sessions, but playing us out this time is Sue Harding with Birchwood.
When I was a soft dark wolf, I'd slip unseen between the shadows and the fading light. Oh, love, won't you melt into the night? When I was a silk-winged owl, oh, I lift my round bright eyes and howl my feathery joy to the mouse born moon. Oh, darling, don't the daytime come too soon? When I was moss-eyed doll, oh, I grazed down where the lichens grow. While as the bird trees in the wood gone, like the ghost of a love when it's done. And when I was a nightingale, oh, the prettiest songs and the tiniest tale, oh, the littlest feet in the pearly light. Oh, darling, don't you love the night? Oh, 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 the night. Oh, darling,